Here, this is Young Turks' very own Jessica Burbank. I wanted to show from her
They're
as well.
finally doing something about inflation. This is great news. Well, what they're set to do is likely to make this worse. The Fed's plan is going to increase the amount of people who are unemployed. Why would they do that? Well, the Fed just issued its largest interest rate hike since 1994. Their working theory is that if they increase interest rates, it'll be more expensive to borrow money. So less people will start businesses and invest in businesses. That means there will be less jobs. And when there's less jobs, there's more competition in the labor market. People will take jobs for lower wages. Wages will go down. People will have less money. There will be less spending into the economy, and demand will go down, and then prices will go down. Does that always work? The solution's got to be relevant to the problem. Economists are criticizing the Fed for taking this approach because the problem is prices are high. We need a solution that will bring them back down.
And the only way to bring them back down is by starving out the population so they can't buy fucking food anymore, okay? You're buying too much food. You're buying too much shit. You're buying too much goods, bro. That's the issue, you know? Too many of you motherfuckers have cars. Too many of you motherfuckers have food, okay? No reason. We should not control. We should not try to boost supply, okay? No DPA, no nothing. We just got to cut. We just got to cut it. But who's raising the prices? Oh, it's the corporations that are raising the prices, and corporate consolidation makes it very easy to do that through what is known as price leadership, which is, of course, the legal way of saying price fixing, which is totally illegal and very different. Price fixing, never forget, how many times have I described this? Price fixing happens in a smoke-filled room in a backdoor dealing. Price leadership, on the other hand, especially in a hyper consolidated market like all of our fucking commodities, is totally cool, totally legal, totally valid, totally chill. Remember that.
And this approach won't do that. So then why does the Fed think it will work? They don't. What? They don't. Jerome Powell admitted that on the floor of Congress.
Chair Powell, will gas prices go down as a result of your interest rate increase?
I would not think so, no.
Okay. Chair Powell, will the Fed's interest rate increases bring food prices?
Yeah, that's why Dark Brandon handled it, dude. Stole the orb, you know, brought the fucking gas prices down forcibly.
Prices down for families?
I wouldn't say so, no.
So then how do we fix inflation? So keep in mind here, inflation is a measure of price changes over time. So to get
Supply issues are a scapegoat. Supply chain disruptions are already taken into account as best as possible. Companies have what we call purchasing managers. Companies are just taken away by raising prices. No. Real supply issues occurred during COVID. The problem is that's when, for example, auto dealerships realized, and even car manufacturers realized, oh, fuck, we can actually just increase prices. We can literally just increase prices and people will pay for it. Now, that is a normal market condition, okay? Because value is not assigned by how much labor value is put into it. Value to a certain particular thing in our capitalist dogmatic way of thinking is assigned by what you are willing to pay for a particular product. Okay? It's made up ultimately, but it's what you are willing to pay for a particular product. So if people are desperate to purchase your food because, you know, you'll die without food, then obviously when they realize, oh man, we can actually raise the prices of food and people will still buy it, even if we don't actually increase supply. That's how you arrive at this level of, that's how you arrive at this kind of inflation.
Get these prices back down, we've got to know why they were set higher. Do we know what caused the price increases? Listen, there's a lot going on. The COVID pandemic, supply chain breakdowns, shortages from sanctions and war, all of those things can add to the cost of getting goods and services to
Wait, hold on. I wasn't listening.
Mind here, inflation is a measure of price changes over time. So to get these prices back down, we've got to know why they were set higher. Do we know what caused the price increases? Listen, there's a lot going on. The COVID pandemic, supply chain breakdowns, shortages from sanctions and war, all of those things can add to the cost of getting goods and services to market. But corporations are seeing record profits, which means that they set prices higher than to just account for the additional production and transportation costs. They set prices higher to make money.
You know how CEOs are on Wall Street. They live.
Like, How is it that people are not recognizing? How is it that people are not recognizing corporate profits are still pretty fucking solid? Not only that, but like OPEC is a great example of this because it's directly a cartel, right? So you kind of see it because they set the price. They set the price for a barrel of oil by completely controlling supply. That is not a market condition, okay? But corporate consolidation in America has rendered every single fucking industry, every single sector to operate exactly like OPEC. Maybe they don't get into a fucking dealing in a like I said, smoke filled room, but they are doing that together collectively, and it's much easier to do that when there's no real fucking competition. Stop asking why don't they have these problems in China, man? Why do you think they don't have these problems in China? Why do you think? Because that's a fucking government that does what government is theoretically supposed to do. But we have conditioned ourselves to believing like the only people that do that are communists, okay? If a government is supposed to do what a government is supposed to do, sometimes executing billionaires if they're fucking, stepping out of line, for example, and many more things, then, that's communism. People have fucking deluded themselves into thinking that, like, maybe not the corporate executive execution thing, but like, some kind of price control and some kind of regulatory mechanism upon the free enterprise is completely unjustifiable, and that's communist. That's communism. You're doing communism. It's like, no, motherfucker, that's not communism. That's just like what governments are supposed to do. What the fuck is a government then? Is it just a funnel to take your money in the form of taxes and then give it directly to fucking corporations? Is that what the government's supposed to do? Because that's what it does. American government is just like fucking 8 corporations and a human in a government suit, okay? They're just hanging out. They're like, oh, no, we're a government. Don't look inside the trench coat. Okay? Do not look inside the trench coat. It's not 8 corporations inside the trench coat. No matter what you do. Okay? We are a government. We're different. Yeah. Wasn't that a Juniper tweet? I think. Whatever.
You know how CEOs are on Wall Street. They live quarter by quarter. If they're off by a penny in earnings, Wall Street is not forgiven. So what are the CEOs doing? They're raising prices. I see food prices going up. Promotions are down to 0. Why give away something when you don't have to give it away and you make more margin?
CEOs are.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, that's it. That was a Juniper tweet. Someone accused her of stealing Keckle. I don't give a fuck. Listen, that's it. When I say it, I'm a fucking conspiracy theorist, disgusting commie, okay? When he says it on CNBC, that's like, oh, that's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for describing how that works, actually. No, and that's totally valid. It's an in-group, out-group thing, okay? That's how it works. If you are a capitalist pig dog, okay, and you're fucking clapping ass cheeks, then when you say that, that is adequate. That's appropriate. That's cool, okay? When you're outside of that club and you're saying that exact same thing, they're like, you're a conspiracy theorist. Shut the fuck up. No one would do that.
Are admitting to doing this.
Why give away something when you don't have to give it away and you make more margin?
Yeah, fucking commie. I'm swapping between Hasan and Ray's stream. Thanks, man. Thanks for keeping us informed. I mean, yeah, we already mentioned this, but like this is punishing you, okay? Chevron, Exxon posting record quarterly profits as commodity prices boom. That is to punish you for the crime of not guzzling enough fucking oil during the COVID pandemic. You understand? That's it. That's what this is. This is literally to make up for all of their lost earnings because the governments didn't give them enough money. Governments gave them money on the hopes that they wouldn't fire people. They still fired people. They took the money, okay? But now they have to punish you because, hey, last year we didn't make as much money. I'll fucking kill you if I have to. You understand? Get fucked. Get fucked. It's great. Wonderful. The argument is that it should be a complete free market for all goods, but inelastic goods like food and gas, while raising prices have no effect on demand, should be regulated. In fact, we already have laws to prevent this type of price gouging during disasters. Yes, but dude bikes, like we already talked about, this is not considered price gouging, my friend. Price gouging is when some fucking random wantrepreneur dickhead decides to increase the prices of a particular good that they're selling during a natural disaster. If that natural disaster is happening at a time when the entire economy is fucking tanking, then that's not considered price gouging. You understand? That's just the free market. That's just the free market working as intended. When you have an inelastic good, when you have a good that has inelastic demand, for example, like the pharmaceutical industry in its entirety, because without medicine, you'll die. Okay, so that means it's an inelastic demand good. It's not considered price gouging when the price of EpiPen goes up because you're Joe Manchin's daughter and that's what you're going to fucking do. And also schools are going to have to buy that EpiPen regardless because they don't want kids to fucking die when there is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches being served at school. That's how this works. Okay, and that's precisely why so many of these kinds of goods are actually heavily regulated in its pricing. One way to do that from the most capitalist perspective is by price bargaining, okay? When you buy in bulk, if you have socialized medicine in your civilized country, okay, even if you're in the third world, even if you're a developing nation, you're still a civilized country that cares about its citizens. Otherwise, they will fucking revolt and kill you, right? What do? When you're buying medicine in bulk, you negotiate prices and you negotiate them all the way down to manageable levels. That's why you can buy over-the-counter fucking in Turkey. If you go to any pharmacy in Turkey, you can buy the same shit in America that's being sold for $1,000 for fucking 3 liras, right? Why? Because they're buying it in bulk and they're driving the prices down. These pharmaceutical corporations understand that it's totally fine. That you know, those people are not willing to pay more for it, so we can't charge them more. You know what country doesn't allow pharmaceutical price bargaining to occur and literally had it illegal until the last part of the Obama administration, at least for the Veterans Affairs Office? The United States of America. I already gave the game away. In the United States of America, pharmaceutical price negotiations was literally illegal until like fucking 2016, okay? Across the board. But one of the only socialized components, one of the only socialized medicine, socialized healthcare components that exist in this fucking hellscape was the VA. VA, as a consequence of constantly skyrocketing medical prices and a gigantic pool of people who are desperate for medical care, with a pool that is ever growing, considering America's wars are never going to end. So there's always new fucking veterans that need PTSD care and health care because they're getting their shit blown off, okay? Needed a way to lower prices. So they finally said, let's lower prices by allowing the VA to negotiate. This was quite a controversial bill at the time. It was quite the controversial provision. Right now, as we speak, there is another one down the line. One of the things that the Biden administration is trying to do currently is implement price negotiations for Medicaid. They're trying to do that right now. And that's very frustrating for a lot of corporate lobbyists. A lot of corporate lobbyists look to that and say, nah, fuck that. I work for Johnson & Johnson, baby. And my senator also works for Johnson & Johnson too. How does he work for Johnson & Johnson? Maybe because his wife or his daughter works for J&J directly. How does he work for Johnson & Johnson? Because J&J is going to give you dark money, okay, through a super PAC. So you can get fucking reelected even though you're a criminal like Bob Menendez. This is how the system works. It is fundamentally broken top to bottom. How does negotiation work? Can Medicare really walk away from the table if it means cutting off insulin for every senior citizen? Well, they have purchasing power, and the pharmaceutical corporations need to recognize that purchasing power, so they can actually lower it. If you're buying, billions of dollars of medication from Pfizer, they're not going to be able to force you out of that. Plus, there's a lot of negative consequences to walking away from such a deal. Do you understand? For even Pfizer. If a child wants to pay for life-saving brain surgery, they just have to work in the Hyundai factory for the rest of their lives. Free market fundamentals. Yep, that's right, baby. That's fucking right. Then inflation doesn't actually exist unless it's artificially created via price gouging, fixing, leading. Yeah. It is a series of people at a certain point deciding that we need to make prices higher, okay? And then that triggers a entire ladder of other corporations and other producers along that line going, well, my cost went up a little bit, so I'm going to fucking increase my cost. My cost went up a little bit, I'm going to increase my cost here. And all the way, and ultimately offsetting all of that cost, not to the fucking profit margins, but instead to the customers, to the consumers, to you. And consumers are also workers. So what happens in that situation? Well, then you're like, my cost of living is fucking up 9%. What the fuck do you mean I'm only getting 3% wage increase? I can't survive on these margins. Then the worker says, I need more money. You didn't give me a 3% increase. You gave me a 6% pay cut. If inflation is at 9% and you increase my salary by 3%, I now am sitting here with a 6% pay cut. Then they are advocating for more. They're advocating for higher wages. And then it turns out when you advocate for higher wages and you actually end up getting some higher wages, then they're going to offset more of the cost back to the customer. That is how it normally works, okay? It's not the employer's job to fight inflation. What do you mean the employer's job? Whose job is it then? What do you think the point is? Ultimately, you know how prices work? I mean, this is like really stupid to say, but you know how prices work? By taking a fucking Sharpie and sharpieing off the price and saying, now it's 50 cents more expensive to purchase a fucking slice of pizza. That's how it works. Ignore word salad debates over this recession. Here's what matters. We live in a system, capitalism, that is deeply unstable, lurching from inflation to recession and back endlessly, disturbing our lives, jobs, institutions, and taboo against facing that system. That our system is our problem. Yeah, I mean, he's right. The government should also be able to manufacture generic medications, especially medically requisite ones, and then sell them off for free or at a loss, especially medically requisite ones, and sell them. Negotiating drug prices shouldn't be the bottom line we fight for. Oh, brother, I am full blown in favor of nationalized healthcare, top to bottom, start to finish. You're speaking my language right now. I am full blown. Call me fucking Kim Il-sung, baby. Or call me Mao Zedong when it comes to fucking healthcare. Holy shit. I don't give a fuck, dude. I mean, across the board, dude. That is bananas that that's not the case currently. Nationalize our extraction industries like they did in Norway. Nationalize the healthcare industry across the board. Immediately offer public housing. It's ridiculous. Beef up public transit, so that we don't have such a gigantic over-reliance on fucking Chevron and Exxon for survival, because they touch every aspect, okay? I mean, the things that I'm mentioning are just so... They're the first step towards a more meaningful life. And that's what's fucked up. Like, what I'm mentioning is not that crazy. It's only crazy if you have been bullied into believing that these sorts of things are not things that the government should be offering you.
I'm sick of it. Gas prices are too high. And one of you is causing it. We're gonna get to the bottom of it in this meeting. Russia. Hello. Hi. Yes. You invaded Ukraine, which caused many countries to sanction you and reduce the global supply of oil available to the United States. However, gas prices started to climb before the invasion. Supply chain. Yeah, it was all messed up. Even still, we should have been able to get domestic supply up by now. Oil and gas companies have over 9,000 permits to drill on federal land that are not being used. Hey. If we build new rigs and drill new wells, that's going to cut into our profits and reduce returns next quarter. Would you like to share with the group? Reports show oil companies are seeing record profits.
By the way, this is not even a fucking joke. I've shown you multiple times. Stop saying it's cringe, okay? It's cringe because it's like TikTok format. But like, how many times have I shown you fucking oil and gas executives unironically going again on CNBC and saying, well, we're not going to actually increase supply. Why the fuck would we? Because that would cut into our profit margins. Right now, things are going fucking great. We have no responsibility to the consumer or the public to actually lower our own profit margins. They openly state it, and then they can just go and live a life, okay? That's the crazy part, for me at least. I look at that, and I see a fucking oil and gas executive, okay? An industry that takes 85% of the fucking government subsidies for energy production. I see that, and I see a fucking literal CEO go on television and say, oh, do you want me to fucking lower my own profit margin? What are you, crazy? Our primary responsibilities are shareholders. And then he gets to live. He gets to fucking breathe air tomorrow. He walks out of that fucking television studio and gets into a limousine and goes and lives in his fucking luxury high rise. That's insane. That blows my fucking mind. What is the government doing? Why does he get to breathe free air like a free man after saying that? Because capitalism and how capitalism operates creates villains like that and then turns around and makes you think that that guy's not a fucking villain. I'm not saying he should be shot. I didn't say that. I said he should go to fucking jail. Shut the fuck up immediately. And then you have the boot-sucking little vermin in the chat. The moment I bring this shit up, the moment I talk about how devastating a statement like that is, okay? And this dude goes, you just said you want him to be shot. Why? So you can fucking clip something and then make it seem like I'm saying something I'm not saying? And then what? Oopsie, actually, then you're going to find out that more people agree with me than you, dumbass. More people agree with even what I'm not saying, that what you're inferring, than you. Because in the real world, nobody's like, oh man, hold on now. Like what? When a fucking corporate executive openly states, actually, we're not going to we're not going to cut into our profit margin by boosting supply on a fucking resource that is necessary for survival as a consequence of our over-reliance on oil and gas. That guy could just say, no, I don't give a fuck if people can't pay for this shit. I don't give a fuck if like this is literally making everything more expensive. They tried doing that with you laughing at a cop getting shot yesterday and it completely backfired. And most people thought that shit was funny. I know. Bro, you said, how is he still alive? No, I meant like fucking free air. Like, how does he get to breathe air as a free man? Okay? Corporate executive will literally come out and say, I'm going to kill Americans for profit. And chatters will be like, oh, let's get this Twitch streamer fucking clapped up. He's speaking out against the fucking corporate executives. Wow, that's fucked up.
Interesting. If prices were raised to make up for the additional cost of supply decreases and supply chain issues, you would be seeing the same profit margins, but because you're seeing record profits, this would suggest you increased prices for more than to just make up for that difference. In just the first 3 months of 2022, Exxon made $5.5 billion in...
Yes, they did. They did increase the fucking prices because people are desperate for oil and gas. It doesn't work without oil and gas. That's how our fucking entire economy has been built. And for that reason, they can do whatever the fuck they want, increase prices to this degree. Our car reliant infrastructure is always going to need more oil and gas. And they did this because they wanted to make up for their lost profits from previous quarters.
Profits after taxes.
Why do you care, bro? You have a take hand? It doesn't matter, dude. What the fuck do you mean? That's just a fucking self-report, dude. That is just such a self-report for you. You're saying your advocacy exclusively revolves on things that immediately impact you. And not only that, but I'm also living on this planet. Like, I don't want a car-reliant infrastructure. I don't want fucking an oil and gas reliant economy. I don't want to rely on fossil fuels, especially when the industries that control said production have shown time and time again that they will fuck you just to get a fucking fatter piece of the pie. It makes no sense.
Chevron made $6.3 billion and...
Yes, you don't want those, so stop asking for more supply. Fuck these people. Brother, that doesn't mean anything. Just because I want to fucking move away from it doesn't change the reality that right now I'm living in the here and now. There is no alternative. People aren't going, oh man, these oil and gas giants are fucking us. Maybe we should move over to renewable energy. That's not happening.
ConocoPhillips, $5.8 billion. You and your shareholders are making a ton of money. That's right. Chief executive pay for 28 major oil companies totaled $394 million. All while everyday working low-income people could be paying up to 38% on energy this year. That money is going into the pockets of CEOs and shareholders.
Crazy they always claim patriotism and throw money at weapon manufacturers and shit, but then at home production of microchips and self-sufficient renewable doesn't matter. We can just get fucked as long as they're able to extract as much profit as possible. You already said you'd throw your take can in the ocean for more robust public transportation. Oh, 100%. But it doesn't matter. What's funny about that take is like, people always like so regularly openly admit that they're selfish, and they think like selfishness is actually like a positive quality. You know what I mean? That means you're a go-getter. That means you're like a fucking based, that means you fuck shit up. You're a go-getter. You're a legend. You're a top G, right? Which is why people just fucking turn around and go, oh man, how dare you advocate for things that don't pertain to you? Yeah, I mean, I fucking hate racism too. I'm white, That's part of the reason people are so fucking brain broken that they cannot comprehend that a human being could possibly advocate for things that do not immediately benefit them. So when people do that for my anti-capitalist takes, it's basically like a reactionary saying you're virtue signaling when you talk about like a cop murdering a black person. It's the exact same shit. But because capitalism is the dogma and it's the norm, many more people have that attitude rather than like in the circumstance of like a reactionary person claiming you're being you're behaving in a virtuous manner exclusively for brownie points. That is exclusive to the Republican Party. There are more people that are pro-capitalism in the world, or ride or die for capitalism, than there are people for white supremacy, even though the two things are definitely tied to one another.